Alrighty, Nancy, we're going to get going without Mr. Feeney, and if he joins in, just bring it to my attention
I will.
in case I get sidetracked. Andrew is our host this evening, or are we co-hosting?
I'm co-hosting for the mute button.
Okay. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good. And I see Brian Murphy's with you in your office.
We did have Chris Belizos join us too while you were
Yes, I see that as well. So thank you. And I hope you all get home safe and sound this evening. I think it's kind of stopped, but it's quite a bit of snow out there. I'm going to get this hearing underway, and I appreciate everybody for joining us this evening. Tonight, it's the Marshfield Zoning Board of Appeals. It is February 9th, 2021. This is a remote participation hearing, and our meeting ID is 890-2006-2876, and our passcode is 045666. I'd like to remind the board that this hearing will be recorded with Zoom, and MCTV is also part of our remote participation. So be mindful of what you say. It will be part of the record. Before we get started, I'd like to do a roll call, which is part of our procedure. And then we will make a motion to get this underway. So Lynn Fiddler, I'm here at my home office, and I'm alone. Well, I have a dog running around, but I'm alone. Heidi Conway.
I'm here.
Hi, Heidi.
Hi.
Are you alone in your office?
I'm in my office. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Brian Murphy, we know you're with Andrew. Can I hear your voice again?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Feeney is not here, as we'd mentioned. Mark Stiles is not here this evening. Larry Keene.
Yes, I'm here. I'm at my home.
Hi, Larry. How are you this evening?
I'm great, thank you.
Good. I'm glad to hear your voice.
Real quick before we get going, did we
Sure.
notice pink balloons on Union Street this week?
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations.
Baby girl.
It's great.
9.87 pounds.
Good for you.
Big
Congratulations.
bones like a grandmother. Thank you so much. It's going to be a lot of fun. 2021. Here we go.
Boom.
So, Chris Belizos, are you there?
I'm here.
Hello, how are you?
Good, and yourself?
Very good. So you'll see in front of you, for the members of the public that are joining, this is our agenda. Sometimes we skip around. This evening, we're going to stick to our agenda, and we will remind you that if you are dialing a phone, you can see dialing in on a phone that you need to press *6 to mute and unmute yourself. So that is part of our procedure. So do we have, we're going to start with case 2107. Do we have the applicant here for 2107?
Paul Seberg from Grady Consulting's here to represent the applicant.
I'm sorry, Paul, will you repeat your last name?
Paul Seberg.
Okay. I'm going to read it into the record and then we'll get started. 2107, Matthew O'Connell. The petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-9.02 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to raise the existing structure and construct a 36-foot by 48-foot single-family dwelling with a 24-foot by 26-foot attached garage and a 12-foot by 12-foot deck and a 12-foot by 12-foot four-season room on the property located at 75 Riverside Circle, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel D190205 and is located in an R1 zoning district. So Paul, you'll see in front of you the application as the board has it in front of them as well.
Okay.
And we're just going to thumb through it and make sure that we have all our ducks in a row. Okay. Okay, so you'll see right there for the board, the proposed structure will be more conforming to the bylaw since the front setback is increased. The deed, we have that. Thank you. Okay, and the site plan. I understand you were in front of conservation last night, Paul?
I'm filling in for Darren Grady. I'm not sure if it was last night, but I know we got approval from conservation at the last hearing.
Okay. And did they make any changes to your, were you allowed to go to the 47 point, I'm not exactly sure where, you had applied for two separate requests.
Correct. So originally we were going a little bit closer to the wetlands, but we moved it back to 50 feet from the wetlands as requested.
Okay,
So we had to eliminate about 2 feet off of the proposed garage to actually
Okay.
move the house a little bit closer to the front lot line.
so, so as far as the board is concerned, we received multiple site plans for this particular application. So what we're going to be looking at is the site plan that is referenced as A, I believe. Is that correct?
Lynn,
Yes,
Darren sent a plan late this afternoon with the proposed and existing setbacks for you.
okay. So is that the February 9th ZBA presentation? Is this what we have in front of us, Andrew? On the key on the right side?
Sorry, no, I have
I think it's different.
revised plan.
Okay, yeah, so if we could find that site plan.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, thank you. So for the board, there were 4 different revision cycles to this site plan: January 5th, January 26th, February 5th, and February 9th. So what we are addressing is the February 9th, which has the correct 50-foot setback for the location of the actual proposed single-family home. Okay. So I also understand that this particular project in 305-9.02, our bylaws outline the building envelope. So you'll see that the building envelope is identified by the hatch marks. Identified, and there's setbacks. See the hatch, here I am using my pen. Yes, exactly. Going up and around, and that's the building envelope for this particular lot. And then you can see at the bottom where the existing home is. And you can see how it comes outside on the front setback. So this applicant is proposing a more conforming location for this new home. So I'm going to leave it up to the applicant to describe what his plans are, but I understand that this particular special permit may not be necessary based on what I'm seeing. So, I think that the board may be in agreement with that. But go ahead, Paul, if you'd like to describe.
Okay, yeah, I think you did a pretty good job describing it as is. Currently, the site consists of an existing single-family house. The house is in a non-conforming location due to the front setback, which currently is at 32.6 feet. And the requirement is 40 feet. The lot is non-conforming due to lot area at 24,064 square feet. The requirement's 1 acre, 43,560 square feet. What we'd like to do is raise the existing house, construct a new house in a conforming location on the lot. Basically, the front setback is now going to be 40.2 feet, meeting the front setback requirement. And the the original front setback was 32.6 feet, as I mentioned. All setbacks meet front, side, and rear setback requirements as far as zoning is concerned. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions you may have.
Any questions from the board? So this particular architectural rendering doesn't allow us or the board the opportunity to see the other views, the side and rear views. However, is it the board's opinion that this particular project is not requiring a special permit? I'd like to hear from the boards. I'll take a roll call based on this and the specific 305-9.02, item number C. I don't know if the board has any other comments.
Nope, by reading Attorney Galvin's comments, it appears it's going to make it a more conforming structure to the property.
Okay.
See no issue.
Bob,
Yes.
are you okay?
Yeah, I don't think it requires a special permit. We have a provision in our bylaw that allows the applicants to propose exactly what they're proposing. And it's assuming they have conservation approval. I don't think it's anything other than a finding that it meets this requirement, and the recommendation would be to deny the special permit as moot.
Okay, and so I don't need to include the public as a response to this particular hearing?
I think the applicant qualifies for that specific provision of the bylaw, and therefore all the board has
Okay.
to do is approve it under that section by making the finding that it qualifies for treatment under that section.
Okay. So any more comments from the board?
I
won't
just
take
have a question.
this
So
site-
would they normally have to come to make this finding, or would they just normally go to the building department for that?
Probably stay at the building department. I don't know.
Do you know how it got here? Like,
Well, probably because there was some confusion as to whether it was a non-conforming. I mean, it's non-conforming, but maybe the belief was that it required a special permit, but I don't think it does.
okay,
So it's non-conforming in the size of the lot and on the front setback, and it's
Yeah, so the
More.
motion would be to make, to determine that it qualifies for a finding under that specific section of the bylaw that I cited, what I cite, 909.02C.
yeah. All righty. So I'd like to make a motion to the board that we close case 21-07. Do I have a second?
second,
All those in favor of closing? Lynn Fiddler, aye. Heidi Conway,
aye.
Brian Murphy.
Aye.
Mr. Feeney's still not around, right? I don't see him.
He should be logging in now.
Okay, Larry.
I just got here now, yes.
Okay, hi, Mr. Feeney.
Hey, how are you, Madam Chairwoman?
I'm good. Glad to have you with us. Were you
Good,
able,
thank you.
if you were just logging in, I'm going to bypass you for this vote.
No problem.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Larry Keane,
Hi, yes,
we're voting to close.
close, yep.
Chris Felizos,
Close.
Yeah.
thank you.
People
So we have a vote of 5-0 to close case 2107. So I'd like to make a finding that based on this case 2107, that this board finds that this particular project will meet the criteria of 305-9.022C, and The residential structure may be altered, extended, or reconstructed, and the use extended throughout the extended, altered, or reconstructed portion, provided that any resultant alteration shall not cause the structure to violate the maximum building area and yard regulations of the district in which it is located. And this board will affirm that 305-9.02 is the finding of this board. Do I have a second?
Second, is it?
All those in favor of that finding? Lynn Fiddler, aye.
Heidi Conway, aye.
Brian Murphy,
Aye.
Larry Keane,
Aye.
and Chris Polisos.
Aye.
Okay.
Hi, Lynn, and that the special permit is moot.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm going to make a finding that the special permit, the board finds as moot. Do I have a second?
Second, denied as moot.
Denied as moot. Lynn Fiddler, aye. Heidi Conway,
Aye.
Brian Murphy,
Aye.
Larry Keane,
Aye.
Chris Polisos.
Aye.
Okay, so this particular case, 2107, has been denied as moot, and the board has found it based on 305-9.02. The findings have been affirmed. All righty. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Thank you.
evening.
You too.
Do we have the applicants for 2108 for 115 Monitor Road?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
representing Bill Smith. I think he's also on the call.
Is this Jason?
Yes,
Okay. Okay, case 2108, William Smith, the petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-10.12 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to construct a 8-foot by 34-foot 3-season porch on the existing dwelling on the property located at 115 Monitor Road, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel K1014-27 and is located in an R3 zoning district. Okay. Thank you. Do we have an actual site plan, Andrew?
This is all I have. I don't know if Nancy got anything more.
I know we were talking about it. Nancy, did you receive anything in addition to this
No.
overhead?
No, I did not.
Is the applicant aware of the need for a site plan?
we were trying to secure one. There was no existing plot plan for the property. And usually I would go to the health department to kind of grab something for a septic, but this house isn't on a septic system. So we do not have anything drawn.
Did
I-
you, so did you reach out to engineer to try and, so you just didn't have time to do that?
Yeah, we submitted, mid-January. I had the setback located on my plan, but obviously it's not a site plan. It's not
Yeah.
done by an engineer.
Okay.
The setback, the setbacks are an issue in this case, but yeah, we don't have an actual official site plot plan.
Okay. Well, why don't you describe to us what your intents are, and we'll let the board,
Okay. We are, the project was it's a 3-season porch in the front of an existing house. The big issue we had was that it's very much in a wetland zone. And so the problem was, the setback, we met the setback, but it was really a problem of, there's a wetland immediately behind the property. And, typically, the 100-foot buffer you need. So when speaking with Bill over at Conservation, this was back in January or late December, he felt he was confident that it was okay only because it's not making the back deck on this house is already non-conforming with the buffer. But since what we're doing is in the front of the house, it's not making that condition worse. So that was the kind of the main driver for this whole the whole process. Was getting that piece kind of figured out.
so
But otherwise, I'm sorry?
do you know the specific setbacks that you have, or you have no recollection?
We have
guidelines?
15 feet setback on this property, and we are.
No, you're
looking at-
existing, not what you're.
Oh, the existing? Oh, on the back? I do not.
On all 4 sides.
As far as
Just because you don't have the plan, sometimes people just know. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, the house itself is within its setbacks, zoning setbacks.
We have no way of knowing that, but
That's a R3, so it's 15 and 15.
Andrew, do you have any comments on this particular project?
Obviously, I can't really make a determination without having something showing setbacks on it. Whether that's from a professional land surveyor or, civil engineer or something.
So it's my opinion that we could
Come back with a plot plan.
continue this to another date certain and give you the opportunity to work through the application process, which requires some sort of a site plan. So if you'd be in favor of that, I'm happy to continue this hearing.
Yeah. Do that.
Okay. All right. I just don't want to cancel you out. Any other comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we continue case 2108 for 115 Monitor Road to a date certain. Nancy, what is the next date?
It would be February 23rd.
Does the board feel anything other than the site plan? They're content with this architectural rendering and everything else? I hear crickets, so I'm going to send you off to find a site plan that the board would be able to evaluate, okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Is that enough time for them to get a setback? To get a site plan?
Excuse me?
Is that enough time for them to get a set plan?
If it's not, they can give you a call and we can make.
Yeah, we kind of exhausted all the other possibilities. I think we'll have to bring in a surveyor or an engineer just to kind
You'd
of.
probably need it if you went ahead with the building permit anyway, so some sort of a site plan for the application process. Okay,
Okay.
so I'd like to make a motion that we continue case 2108 to February 23rd. Do I have a second?
Second?
seconded by Heidi. All those in favor, Lynn Fiddler, aye. And then that'll be at 6:30. Lynn Fiddler, aye. Heidi Conway,
Aye.
Brian Murphy,
Aye.
Steve Feeney,
Aye.
Larry Keane,
Aye.
and Chris Polisos.
Aye.
Okay, so we will hear from you on February 23rd. Reach out to Nancy if that becomes a problem, and
Right.
we'll see what we can do.
All right, thank you.
All right, have a nice evening.
Thank you, you too.
Yep. Okay, 252 Careswell Street. Do we have the applicant here this evening?
Yes.
And Terry and Steve?
Yes, we're here.
All right. I'm going to read it into the record and then we'll get started. 2109, Teresa and Stephen Flavin. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
In accordance with 305-10.11 of the Marshfield Municipal Code, the petitioner is seeking a variance for relief from 305-6.02 Table of Dimensional and Density Regulations and a special permit in accordance with 305-10.12 to construct an 11-foot by 28-foot addition on the property located at 252 Careswell Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel L05-31-13 and is located in an R3 zoning district. So we have the application for a variance and we also have the application for your special permit. And do we have the deed? Yes, okay. So Teresa, for an application for a variance, we need to meet the criteria for a variance. And I did get a chance to look at your application. So number one, the circumstances, the soil conditions, shape or topography, and land and structures, etc. You can see it in front of you. This is the only area where the addition can be built. So we need to make sure that this particular site qualifies for a variance. So your response, I need you to dig a little deeper and let us understand what's unique about this particular lot and the reasoning that this addition is something that we need to look into and grant you a variance. So I'm going to let you explain your situation. I know you have a unique situation that the board, I'm sure, would be interested in hearing. But I'd like to give the floor as you can explain to your situation. You need to unmute yourself, Tarek.
Okay. How do I unmute?
There you go.
Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted, so you have the opportunity to address the board.
Okay, so we would like to see if it's possible to build a one-room addition onto the side of our home with a bathroom.
Okay. So do we have the site plan? Thank you. So the location that you're identifying for this particular addition would be on the right side
Yes.
of your property. So
Yeah.
what you're looking at is the existing lot, and you need to go 10 feet off. Do I have that here? Andrew, maybe you can identify, maybe you can see it better than I can.
Right.
11 feet. So she's requesting to come 11 feet to the right side setback. And there's room off the back.
So they'd be coming 11 feet over here
Yes.
and back
Yes.
along this line here,
Yes.
extending this portion of the house.
So your side setback, I can't even read.
Setback, but no more non-conforming.
Does she have room into that right side setback? I can't read it.
21.
Yeah, she's got 21 feet, so they've got 6 feet that they can project.
Okay. What do you think, Brian?
So she's looking for a variance for 5 feet.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the other side is 8'2", so I really don't see a problem with it as long as the neighbors are all right with it.
So this is another case of a requesting a variance and making it a lot more non-conforming. I'd like to hear what the rest of the board has to say. Heidi? I understand there's a hardship in this as well, but Heidi?
Right, yep, so I totally understand where they're coming from and what their needs are, and I'm just wondering if there's another way for them to have this happen or a different way to have it presented so that it doesn't require a variance. I know that's totally out of what we're supposed to be doing, but
I know. I understand their situation. And
right, so I do know,
they're not, yeah. Mr. Feeney?
No, I'm in agreement with what has been said so far, you know.
So you've heard two different things. You've heard Mr. Brian Murphy say he's okay with it, variance. He'd let it happen. He going 5 feet into the setback.
Lynn, so I could be clear on what I'm saying. This is a 50 by 100 lot. So generally speaking, this, you know, is the minimum size you can build on anything residential lot of record. I know that once the house is built, you lose your ability for those setbacks. But this would have been allowed if there was no structure on it because it's only 50 by 100.
Bob, can you weigh in on that?
Well, they really should have a plan, and I don't mean to add to the expense, but they should have an engineered plan, maybe even using the engineer that prepared the underlying plan to show what the actual setback is. I too understand that there might be some personal circumstances that might be helpful to the applicant in order to convince the board to grant a variance. The way it's identified on the plan is as an in-law apartment, and I think
I saw that as well.
they didn't apply for the special permit for an in-law apartment, so perhaps they could eliminate the kitchen part of that, and then they wouldn't need that aspect of it. And I don't think there's a problem with the bathroom. So, I mean, because technically an accessory apartment requires a special permit under a different section of the bylaw that they didn't apply for.
Well, we had a discussion when she was applying for the variance about the requirements for an accessory apartment and the 3 years, no substantial improvement in 3 years. So it was changed just to, they weren't going to put a stove in.
Yeah, I mean, Bob, this is just an addition as it sits. I know they wrote, it's not what they're saying. It doesn't have a stove. It's a bathroom and a bedroom and some cabinets. So it doesn't, it's not a.
Look at it. As far as I'm concerned, if the applicant doesn't have, you know, sleeping, eating and bathing, all three of those elements, if one is missing, then it doesn't qualify as an in-law apartment. They can do that. Okay, then you can grant the variance if the board feels like the applicant has made the case for it. And then you also eliminate the need to have a third parking space. So If it's no longer going to be an in-law apartment because it's going to not have one of those important elements, then it's really just up to the board whether the applicant has given you enough information to grant the variance.
Yeah, the way I see it, it's no more than really a bedroom with a bathroom and a little, area to have, it looks like a refrigerator and a sink, so.
So then, if you construe it that way, then make a condition that it's can't be an in-law apartment, but they can have sleeping and bathing and that type of stuff.
That's it, yeah, okay. I'm sure the applicant would be agreeable.
Yes.
I think they should, if they're going to do it here, I think you really need something to memorialize what that setback is going to be if you're going to give them variance. So maybe an as-built plan showing the exact set off is something that could be added.
Yeah, so maybe this is another case where give them a couple weeks and allow that to kind of.
I think they've scaled it off, but I do think that prior to occupancy of this area, that you should require an as-built from a surveyor. That might save them a few dollars.
Oh, Bob, are we open?
Yeah, you're good.
Looks like this is actually a surveyed plan. Those are the 8.2, 8.7. All the numbers are on there, 21.5, 21.2. The 21 on the right-hand side looks like it's part of this original plan.
Oh, thank you. I can see it better.
I can see it. It's just that it looks like these were, back then, they used hand, they put them by hand, not using a computer.
Their blueprint, yeah.
I mean, it's really up to the board.
I'm saying maybe I can clearly see that's 21 feet, but the lower number.
This is 21.4.
21, it's a little bigger. So it's clear that if they're looking for 11 feet, they'll have a 10-foot setback on that side, 8.2 on the other side.
I was just saying, normally we would have a surveyor sketch it onto a plan like that and stamp it so that you knew that that was the distance.
Right. So maybe Steinbeck and Taylor can help them out with that,
Yeah.
like before they finish up. Go through Andrew for that.
Well, that would be part of the application. Does the board feel that that we need that prior to closing and making a vote on this?
Madam Chairperson, Steve Feeney, I misspoke earlier. This whole Zoom thing is different for me.
Yeah, I know. It's hard.
The court thing, I do the court thing at home, and it's not the plan. You can see people, but and I had missed it. But I do agree with Attorney Galvin that I think in general, I think we should have these plans here so that when we look back historically, everything is there on paper and it's accurate. So I think I agree with Attorney Galvin that we really should have some kind of an as-built plan in this case, but sorry about that. Thanks.
That's kind of how I feel as well. In certain circumstances, I'm willing to condition it. You're right. It without having that as part of the record down the road, 10 years down the road or whatever, when someone comes to the ZBA, it's not part of our package unless we insinuate.
I do think we need it, but I don't think we need it to make a decision. It just has to be there part, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could approve what the applicant has proposed. What is an 8x32 addition on the house, whatever the dimensions that
11 by 28.
11 by 28, as shown in the sketch plan, with an as-built plan prepared by a professional land surveyor showing the resultant setback prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit. That'd give them a good period of time to get it done, and that's not too much to ask. I think then at least what you've given a permanent variance about.
Okay. All right. Mr. Feeney, are you okay with that? You got that? He's
I'm
with
Jeopardy.
us.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, if I was
You're
in,
with us.
if I was on Jeopardy, I'd lose every time. with this.
All right. There's
Yes,
no
I
button.
am.
The
Thanks.
easy button's not in front of you. Okay,
Yeah.
Larry Keane.
Yes, with those conditions, that would give them the opportunity to move forward with this project without delaying them, and would also satisfy the board. I think that's very
The
reasonable.
condition, as I understand it.
Conditions for the as-built,
would be to
correct.
have an as-built prepared prior to occupancy.
Yep, but that wouldn't restrict them. They'd be able to move forward with this. I understand reading this, that time is of
Listen.
the essence.
The grant might cover it as well, the fee.
Yep, great. Considering the special circumstances here, I think they should be given every consideration possible.
Okay. Okay. Chris? Chris Polisos?
Sorry about that. My button wasn't working. I'm in agreement. Every consideration to be granted here. If they need to, I was looking at the application to see if they need to clean up any language about an apartment, but I don't see anything there. So absolutely let them go forward and provide the plan down the road.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the public? Okay, no questions from the public. Okay, for case 2109, 5252 Carswell Street, I'd like to make a motion to close this case. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Heidi. All those in favor, Lynn Fiddler, aye. Heidi?
Aye.
Brian Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Feeney?
Aye.
Larry Keane?
Aye.
And Chris Polisos?
Aye.
Okay, so we are closed. I'm going to reiterate conditions and add into it whatever the board feels, but at this point, to my understanding, the board would be conditioning this case 2109 to have an as-built prepared that meets the other side setbacks, and the variance would be approved with the going 5 feet into that setback on the right-hand side. Is that what we're understanding?
Yes.
Everybody understands that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'd like to make a motion that we grant the variance for relief from 305-6.02. Do I have a second?
Second.
We're granting on the condition that I just reiterated. And all local laws, local and state laws, federal and regulations will be abided. Okay, this is the variance. All right, Heidi seconded on the variance with that condition, with those two conditions. Lynn Fiddler, aye. Heidi Conway,
Aye.
Brian Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Feeney,
Aye.
Larry Keane,
Aye.
and Chris Polisos.
Aye.
Okay, so the variance has been approved. According to the variance, the special permit in accordance with 305-10.12 to construct an 11-foot by 28-foot addition on the property. So I'd like to make a motion to grant the special permit. Just a second. Thank you. So the board has in front of us the criteria for granting a special permit. items 1 through 10. Take a roll call as well as we're going through that those conditions have been met as we go through the special permit, the conditions 1 through 10 of the special permit 10.12. I'd like to make a motion to grant the special permit. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Heidi. Lynn Fiddler, aye. Heidi,
Aye.
Brian Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Feeney,
Aye.
Larry Keane,
Aye.
and Chris Polisos.
Aye.
Alrighty. So we just seconded it. And we're all set. Nancy, are you all set with that?
I am.
Okay. Are we ready to continue?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Good night and good luck.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone. I really, really appreciate it.
Okay. Good luck. Okay. So we're going into case 21-10. I need a minute. We have Fiddler, Conway, Murphy. Is anyone recused from case 21-10?
Just in the way of full disclosure, Steve Wilds is a neighbor and a friend. I think that I can be fair, but if there's any objection, I'd be glad to recuse myself.
Okay, I've also identified a disclosure letter and have that available to the board, and I feel I can be unaffected by my my disclosure as well. So if both of us were to recuse ourselves, that would leave Brian, Heidi, Mr. Feeney, and Larry Keane. That would leave 4 votes. Bob,
Yes.
what do you feel?
Well, both you and Chris have indicated that in order to dispel the appearance of a conflict under Chapter 268A, Section 23B3, that you believe that you can be fair and impartial, and that's why you've made your disclosures. And if you believe you can be fair and impartial and the applicant has no objection, then I believe you can both participate in this matter.
Okay. Chris, are you okay to move forward?
I am.
Okay. All right. I feel I can move forward as well, and I have this disclosure conflict of interest available for Nancy, and you'll have the same. So do we have the applicant here on Zoom for 2110 for 2000 Ocean Street?
Yes, Steve Wiles, I'm here.
Hi, Steve. I don't know if you were just listening to both these board members, myself and Chris. Are you acceptable to our disclosures?
Yes, no, that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, good enough. So I'm going to read it into the record and then we're going to get started. So this is case 21-10 Doku Commercial Realty Trust. In accordance with Chapter 305-10.11 of the Marshfield Municipal Code, the petitioner is seeking a variance for relief from 305-8.08J and site plan approval in accordance with 305-12.02 to construct a 20-foot by 50-foot addition to the existing building to add 32 seats to the restaurant and 8 parking spaces on the property located at 2000 Ocean Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel H07-01-01A and is located in a B1 zoning district. So Andrew, if you wouldn't mind putting up the application quickly. This does have a request for a variance. But as he's going through, Steve, did you get an opportunity to run this past the historical?
Yes, I did, and they're fine with it. The only thing is their meeting is until next month. So
Okay.
they said to send in the plans, that there wouldn't be a problem. So it'll happen with them. I could
Okay.
have them sign off on it.
Okay. Do you think you could get a letter from them?
Yeah, I'm sure I could.
Okay. All right. So here, this was a B2, now is a B1, I understand. And the 305-8.08J is a little tricky off the front with the curb cuts. So we're going to need to get into that. But do you know what the current seating is for this particular restaurant?
I believe it's 24 seats. 6 tables.
6 tables of 6?
Yeah, four seats to a table.
Okay. Okay. And do you know what your current parking spaces are allotted for that particular restaurant?
To the existing, they're not marked, but he's got ample parking behind the restaurant and to the side, the left side of the restaurant. And the front parking is for all the businesses adjacent or above the Corner Cafe, because that's what this audition's for, the Corner Cafe.
Yeah. So you're not proposing a site plan that identifies specific parking with lines? I know it's an impervious, it's not an impervious or paved area. It's just
It's crusher mix. It's really reprocessed asphalt
okay.
at this time.
Okay. ADA compliant and all that, the actual project itself?
Yeah.
All right. Want to continue down, Andrew? We have the deed. Okay. And then the site plan, there are a couple different, I need to. If you could just describe, quickly saw your architectural renderings, and they're in keeping, in my opinion, of the character of the building. But why don't you describe for us what you have, where the entrances are, and
Well, there's no front entrance. There's no side entrance. There'll just be a back entrance. And that would be an exit, an added exit. But the restaurant owner wants everyone to come through the existing front door of the restaurant.
okay, so
One
so
exit.
there'll be 2 egress, one off the front of the existing restaurant, and then
Right.
go through and out to that area, and then exit to the back.
Correct. And then on the existing wall on the left-hand side of the existing restaurant is going to be opened up probably about 6 foot wide with a cased opening in two areas for people to get to that front egress
Okay,
from the restaurant.
so do you have a floor plan available at this point?
Well, it's just open floor plan.
So the restaurant, I mean, I've been in the restaurant, so I understand.
Yeah, I have 2 openings in the floor plan of the restaurant.
Okay,
There's 2. And he's not sure if he wants to go wider with those or not. It depends on the seating. But there are 2 entrances from the existing restaurant or building. And then there's an exit to the back, and then there's a walkway or a corridor or a hallway that goes outside the building.
so is the front side of that addition coming out into the parking spaces in the front?
Not any more than the existing restaurant is.
Okay. It's
Right
straight
in line with
across,
the front of the,
straight across the front.
right across the front.
Okay. So this has the side view exit to the side, and you identified it coming off the back. Is that changing? I see a door.
Well, it's actually it's on the side of the restaurant.
Okay, so, okay.
Yeah. It's
So that's the only exit area for.
right, that's the exit. And then the rest will be, the other exit will be from the front door.
Okay,
So we have 2 ways of egress.
okay. All right, I'm the one doing all the parking for it. No parking against the side of the building.
No. It'll be towards that left lot line where
Okay,
the parking's already existing.
so there's a split of the B1 and the B2.
Yeah, Len, I've been out, I went to the site, there's parking on the left-hand side and in the
Yep.
rear, I believe.
Yeah,
Kitchen, I think, lines up with the current tent, or the tent that was there, right?
no, that was shorter. Maybe where that hatch mark was, see that?
Width-wise it was.
Yeah, this is longer than the tent, but it's the same width as the tent.
Yeah,
Actually, it's a little narrower than the tent. Tent was 22.
So it does go down to like where the closed clinic was or whatever it is? Is that what it goes down to, where that was? The end of the
Yeah,
building
now
there, kind of?
The latter part, the very back of the existing building, which is
Yeah.
L-shaped, there's a line drawn, and that's that line, yeah, right there. From that line back to the back of the building is going to be a walk-in freezer. I poured a pad for a freezer there. Where it says existing concrete pad, that's going to be a freezer. And that goes to the end of the building.
so the back corner, I'm sorry, so the back corner is not open to the public? Is that what I'm understanding?
Not past that car, not past that hallway, it isn't. Where that
So-
concrete pad is, there won't be any access in there. It'll be through the restaurant. But I'm
So the
not,
hallway, your hallway is going to be for your exit, and then to the left of it is going to be the freezer. Is that correct?
yeah, that's a unit that's all encased by itself, and it's gonna be
Yep.
entrance to the main restaurant or the kitchen of the existing
Kitchen.
restaurant.
Okay.
Okay.
So this proposed addition is actually just a bit slimmer than the tent that's currently there for the past year and just deeper.
Yeah, it's
To go
gonna be
full length
deeper,
of the
correct.
And parking is pretty much going to remain the same.
Yes,
Interesting. It's just hard to read, so I am lucky I have a 11 by 17 in front of me.
Now, to be clear, what would be the formula for an added 32 seats for actual parking? What they would need for parking?
eight spaces.
Is there additional room there? I don't see anywhere
Yes.
with, you could incorporate additional 8 spaces, no problem,
Yes, in the back of the restaurant, it's parking lot also,
out back. Okay.
out back, just before the wetlands. There's a buffer, a 75-foot buffer with a fence in front of that, another 6 feet in front of that buffer, and there's plenty of parking.
It's just
not
not
asphalt.
identified. Are you proposing anything to identify where people park, or there's parking in an open?
Not right yet. It's crusher mix right now. It's reprocessed asphalt, so you really can't mark it.
Okay.
Any lighting or anything, or
There's outside lighting on the building.
in the back there?
Yes.
If someone hits the park out back, I mean,
Right.
your hours close early, you gonna continue with that, or
Yeah, he doesn't even stay open late. I think he closes at 3.
2? Okay.
So let's get into 8.08J. If we could pull up that. There it is. So 8.08J, any portion of any entrance or exit driveway shall not be closer than 50 feet to the curb line of an intersecting street, except where subject to the provisions of Article 11, 305-1111, in which case the minimum distance shall be 75 feet. No entrance side. So as the board knows, you're not allowed to, the traffic flow is okay to come in at the street light, but you're to exit on the opposite side. So you can't go across the front and exit at the street light. You got to go out. Right. So the traffic flow is allowed to come in rightly, exactly as Andrew's identifying. There's a sidewalk. I don't recall. Yeah, there is a sidewalk. So
There's walkways, yes.
So the sidewalk allows folks to come down, and pedestrians can walk down the sidewalk, go across and along the front of the building, and then out and in front of the church.
That's correct.
So what is the current distance, Steve?
From the building to the curb,
Yeah.
it's 8'7" at the existing building, the left-hand corner of the existing building, 8'11". I mean 8'7" rather. I'm sorry. And to the left of that, where the addition comes out 20 feet, it ends up being 12'2".
So that's been a pre-existing non-conforming.
Yeah, that's the oldest building in Marshall, built
Yeah.
1600.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that old?
yes.
Really? Okay. Bob, do you have any comments on this with that variance?
Yeah, so I put it in a little narrative, and hate to be the bad guy, but I guess I'm going to be the bad guy.
Well, I'm going to get to it because,
So look at the existing site plan has like hand-drawn measurements added to it. This is a commercial use. They really need to have a professional land surveyor's plan, particularly because it requires site plan approval. I think that this is the type of thing that you'd also want to see a zoning chart so that you could be assured that there was enough parking for the expanded use. And I'm not suggesting that they can't do it. I just think they need to show it on a proper site plan. And when you have a large parking lot like that, you probably do want to have some type of provision for lighting and show how that's going to work. I would think that the fire department would want to weigh in on access to this building, so that they should be asked for their comments on whether a truck or an ambulance could get into the rear of the building in the event of some type of unfortunate situation. In terms of the plans themselves, when people want to make a addition, particularly to a historic structure, we usually ask the historic commission to weigh in, and you you get some information about the colors that are going to be applied and the type of materials, the types of windows and things like that, so that you know that it will match what they have there, but you also know what the materials are. And, you know,
Could I
just
speak
what-
it? Could I
just
speak
what-
in on that when you're done, please?
this
Just
is,
a second. Go ahead, Bob.
no, this is ordinarily something you'd want Pat Brennan to weigh in on. So,
Right. I reached out to Pat earlier today. So the costs associated with Pat weighing in on it would be something the board would have to weigh in, and the applicant, that would be on the applicant.
the other thing I just wanted to note is that in order to make these improvements, there'll be some impact on the portion of the property that's in the B2 zone. For
Yeah.
example, you can't just come around the side of the building there anymore. You have to actually cross over into the B2 portion of the lot. And, you know, those are the issues that I saw.
Yeah, so in my opinion, this is an introductory place for us to start with this project. I think that I'd like to give the applicant a chance to address some of those issues.
I'd like to.
Yeah, particularly what Bob Galvin was just identifying. And we can leave this to the board to continue to the next hearing if you feel like that's enough time. I kind of feel like that may not be enough time for you. And it would be nice to have the historical commission's letter as well.
Well, could I speak now?
Yeah, I'd like to understand if the rest of the board is with me on that. If I hear nothing, I will go forward with continuing it to another date certain unless I hear.
Could I explain a few items before you?
Oh, hey,
talk?
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm just letting the board weigh in. Go ahead.
I'm okay with it. I think the building's, so old.
Yeah,
Pre-exist any zoning, so.
yeah. Everybody else, unless I hear, I'm gonna give the floor to Mr. Wilds to give us his some more information for this particular hearing.
Did I hear anything about historical? Does anybody have to plan on that, or did I miss that part? I
Oh,
might have dozed off.
He said he's spoken to them and
Yeah.
that their hearing doesn't happen for another month or so. And I
Okay,
requested-
sorry. I must have
Yeah,
missed
no,
that.
that's fine. I requested a letter from them as well. But the exterior architectural renderings are, in my opinion, in keeping with the building, but we'll leave that to the historical commission. Steve, why don't you weigh in on those final comments by Bob and what we just had to say, and we'll move this to another date certain, give you a chance to get some more information to us.
Okay, back in 2012, that property was surveyed by Merrill and Associates out of Hanover. And there's a pin on that front curb. That's how I get that measurement of 8'7". So this property has all been surveyed by a professional engineer. As far as the building goes, back in 2008 or 9, I restored the building. I put the wooden roof on. I did the upstairs of that building is actually two sections. The oldest in the 1600 has post and beam. To the right, it's rough sawn lumber. And so I restored it, cathedral ceilinged it, put wide pine floors down. And I was instrumental in making that building look as good as it does right now.
Right.
Putting an addition on, I'm not going to change. The colors are going to stay the same. The windows are going to look exactly like the windows on the front of the building now. That's why they hired me. So, and as far as parking goes,
We're not doubting that. We're just,
but I just
Need to
don't
see that.
assure you that it's not going to be painted pink. And then as far as the historical committee goes, I talked to her and she says, show me a plan. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think I can get it with a letter. And she says, she'll show it to the rest of the board, but she says, I don't think there's a problem.
Okay. I
So-
understand your point of view. It's just that these commercial buildings and any building where you're looking for site plan approval, these are not requests that we're just coming up with for you. Every commercial addition, we request an actual identifiable plan, traffic flow. I understand that you're identifying it's in the backfield, but we need to just get that. And so you're right, you do have an engineer, but you don't have traffic flow and you don't have actual outlined spaces that the board would be able to use. And if you ever sold it, that would be identified for commercial use. So lighting, just identify where the lighting is on the building, things of that nature.
The fact is, the restaurant closes at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There is lighting there now. I don't see why I would need to add more.
Just identify where the lighting is, Steve, on the building.
Okay.
And then if this particular commercial building went and was leased out to another entity with other timeframes, then we as a board would understand what those lighting constraints are and what the parking situation is, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. But the thing is, this is the oldest building in Marshfield, and it's a historic building. And I don't want to make it look like a commercial building.
I'm not
I don't
asking.
want to lose the character of the building.
Yeah,
So if you could take that in consideration too.
we shall. Okay. Thank you. Any questions from the board?
No, I'd just like to make a comment, please, Lynn. Steve, this building does look great considering it was built in the 1600s. You've done an amazing job with it. I think what the board is requesting is something that's not going to take you too long to obtain and just satisfy the board for what they need for a commercial piece of property. But you have done a nice job, and I'm quite sure that it will look nice when you're done.
Yeah, I said that in the very beginning.
Just a question.
Thank you.
Would the 2012 plan suffice as opposed to having to resurvey it?
Excuse me?
Would the board be acceptable to the 2012 plan as opposed to going to the expense of resurveying this property? It's a pretty good sized property.
I can't see if anything have changed since 2012, so if he has an engineered plan.
I think it's fine. He just has to go to, is it Merrill that did the drawing and have them put the piece to the left on the actual drawing, and he should be fine. And he'll need that for the building permit anyways.
And then identify the parking.
Mhm.
Can do that, yeah.
I mean, you could draw, this reminds me a lot of Rote Marina, you know, where it's
Oh, God.
parking. No,
Don't say that.
you know,
Yeah, I think it's easily done. It's not gonna break the bank, and he's already had Merrill out there, so Merrill understands the requirements that this board asks for and looks for, so I hate to say it's not rocket science, but I think that Steve will be able to do what he needs to do, and this board would be able to work through that, so. It is a funky area, and the building has been preserved. He's done a great job with it, so.
yeah, I mean, truly for me, I just kind of feel bad. I mean, we can see what's in front of us, and this is a restaurant business that's really hurting right now, so I hate, you know.
Yeah,
putting any expense on these,
right,
you know.
right.
Absolutely.
We're not pushing it. We're not pushing it right now, so. So let's, anybody from the public want to weigh in on this?
Lynn, can I say something?
Please, Bob.
I didn't mean to imply that Mr. Wiles wasn't the perfect carpenter to work on this. Or
I know, I
contractor to work on
don't
it.
think
He's probably the only one that should ever work on this building. And so I didn't want him to take it the wrong way.
No,
But,
I
you
didn't.
know,
I didn't. I just
when
want to
we-
make,
It'll open or close.
I just want to make sure that I wouldn't ruin the building.
Yeah, no.
I didn't mean to infer that in any way, shape, or form. It looks fine. But typically when someone comes in and they want to expand a commercial building, they They get the engineer to show how it complies or doesn't comply with the zoning bylaw. And then they lay out the additional parking spaces over existing parking spaces so that the board knows that it has adequate parking, and then the fire truck can get in and out, or the ambulance and that type of stuff. So that's what I was trying to convey.
Yeah. Thank you, Bob. Okay, so we had the other hearing went to February 23rd. It's a couple weeks out, but I think that in light of what we're hearing, I think that we could continue this to February 23rd, and hopefully Merrill can pull this together and get a quick letter out to the fire department, and then they should be good to go. So
When is the historical board meeting again?
if
Get a
you can
letter
get a
from them?
letter, if you can get a letter, do you think the board would be okay with the letter? And we condition the siding to match the existing, and I'm sure Steve will make it look great.
Yeah, Lynn, I
I'm good
think
with that.
he's matching what's there, and that's the.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll be fine with it. A letter would suffice for
Yeah.
me.
Okay?
Great.
All right, I think we're all in agreement then. So February 23rd, hopefully we can turn this around quickly, but Steve, reach out to Nancy and give her a progress report, a week out from now, and let her know where you stand so
Okay.
the board can understand. Okay?
Thank you very
All right.
much.
So I'd like to make a motion that we continue case 2110 to February 23rd, date certain at 6:30. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Heidi. All those in favor? Lynn Fiddler, aye. Heidi Conway,
Aye.
Brian Murphy,
Aye.
Steve Feeney,
Aye.
Larry Keane,
Aye.
and Chris Felisos.
Aye.
All right.
All right, Andrew, the place next to.
Okay, so we have successfully navigated our way through our new hearings. We had one case 2103 for 20 Massasoit Avenue. I'm sure the board recalls this particular case. Do we have the applicant here this evening with us?
We do, Madam Chair. Walter Sullivan representing the applicant, and Dr. Basnani, the applicant, is with us as well.
Okay, excellent. Hi, how are you this evening?
Hi.
Hi. I know there was some correspondence from you folks to Nancy, and it was disseminated to the board. Andrew, do you have the plans as I understand? Okay, thank you. Yeah, I also understand that the folks behind you that are buying the house weighed in, and we're not objecting to this particular request.
That is correct, Madam Chair. We also submitted a plan showing the 5-foot setback that I think most of the board members indicated they were more comfortable with, and that's for the front and the side setback.
The front, the
Yeah.
side and the rear. You mean the side and the rear
Correct.
setback?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this amends our original plan that was 2.5 feet.
Okay. So the parcel, I just want to make it clear, the parcel MOA-14-10, that is the homeowner that has newly purchased that property. Is that correct?
I think they
Yes.
have their contract purchasers and they're about to close. And they've indicated that they have no objection to the location of the shed.
Okay. All right. So again, board members, the requirement for a variance makes this another sticky point for our board. Andrew weighed in, and his opinion means a lot to us as well. This particular shed remains as it is, 5 feet within the setback on both those back corners, making it a non-conforming shed. So does anybody else want to weigh in on this? Board members? Anything from the public? Nothing. Walter, do you have any other further comments?
No, I think we went through the criteria for the variance in our last presentation. This is consistent with other homes and other sheds in the area. And this allows Dr. Bazdani to have storage where she has no basement in the property. And it's the really only logical place for it to go.
Can you reiterate the reasoning to the board why this is the only location that this shed can go?
Sure. So again, Dr. Bazdani is a veterinarian and she rescues Doberman pincher dogs. So this is to provide a yard for them where they're not closed off with a shed located in the center of their area where they would be training and also recreating in the back of the yard. The house has no basement. The predecessor house did not either. There's no place to keep materials. So a shed is required not only for the materials for the dogs, but also snow blower and lawnmower and that sort of thing. This allows the normal usage of the rear yard for similar usage by other properties in the neighborhood. To not be able to put it sort of in the corner would be a substantial hardship to the doctor for the purposes of using a rear yard. And there's no detriment to the neighborhood. Other sheds are closer than what is proposed in this plan. It certainly doesn't derogate from the bylaw. And as we indicated previously, a literal enforcement would really deprive her of the opportunity to use the rear yard.
Could I say something?
Please.
The right side of the backyard also floods, so that's why the shed wasn't proposed to be on the right side.
Okay,
in that back corner.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that the shed is a lot closer to the driveway as far as moving like a snow blower or getting a lawnmower out to the front yard also.
Okay, so if you move that 10 feet off the property boundary on both sides instead of 5 feet off and made it a conforming shed, the downfall, in your opinion, to that is what?
So the downfall would just be, I train the dogs for agility, and so I am not able right now to keep the agility equipment at the house because I have nowhere to put it. But should I have the shed and be able to put the agility equipment in the shed, I would be setting up little courses to train them for their competitions. So the more open space I have to set up the courses, it more closely resembles what they see in a trial. And it's a lot better as far as, you know, how they do.
But as the doctor indicated, to put it on the other side of the yard, it floods over there. And so those materials wouldn't be able to stay dry, nor would like a snow blower or a lawnmower.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the board?
Yes, real quick with me, I think the biggest thing is that this is very similar in the community. You go down there, there's sheds everywhere that are closer to the property bounds than this. And she did come forward and ask permission for this and kind of went by the proper channels. And that would be my mindset on this.
It's just unfortunate that our side setbacks are 10 and 10, and this board needs to pay close attention to variances.
Absolutely, but the point that she makes too, that her yard floods, it's kind of unique down there. So doing so, if she has a bit of a flood, it's gonna make her, between a shed and a flood, she'll have no backyard.
Okay, that's an argument I can understand. Any other comments from the board? I'd like to hear your comments in relationship to what Larry just said. Murph?
I just think it's something that, you know, it probably could be worked out just applying for a building permit. I don't really know that we need the variance, and then you could work on the structure just with the, you know, with the building.
Exactly. If we allowed them to withdraw without prejudice and they came into for a building permit, versus going to a vote on this where it's denied. I don't know that I'm in favor of going into the setback.
I mean, the fact that the property floods, is that not a good enough
That,
reason?
that does give some weight to what you're saying. Makes your lot a little bit different than the one next door. But if the board allows this shed to be within the setbacks, then without having proper requirements for the variance being met, then
I get it.
yeah.
And I just, honestly, I think that this is, she hasn't come in to apply for a building permit that we know of, right?
Not that I know of.
Okay, so what, I mean, she could leave this open and do that and then maybe withdraw without prejudice.
If I may, Madam Chair, I think my client, and Mr. Stewart could speak to this, was directed to make this application by the building department.
Lynn,
Yes, Bob.
I think this actually requires a variance, but this applicant has made the case that there's something unique about the topography of her property because it floods. And she says that if she tries to locate it elsewhere on the property, it'll be impacted by flooding. So this applicant made an argument that I haven't heard others making. There's a topographic issue here
Yeah.
that creates a hardship that obligates them, that's, kind of unique to this property, that forces the shed to be here. This is the type of things that the board should look to hear when it receives an application for a variance. And, sheds do have to be set back 10 feet. So
Right. That's why I was asking the rest of the board. I mean, as far as it having that, I'm swayed a little bit, but I'd like to hear what the board has to say.
Is there a compromise here to be had that you'd be violating only one setback rather than two if you came 10 feet off the back line and 5 feet off the sideline?
I think it's both the same concern, but I think that if we can, as a board, can come to the understanding that there is something unique about this lot, I may be persuaded to understand that.
Well, in all honesty, Lynn, I just think that, with the new, it seems like with these new FEMA rules, we're gonna have to give everyone a variance on a shed that's in a flooding area, from what I
Right.
understand. I could be incorrect on that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I know this is probably something that might be worthy of going up in front of town meeting, but for this particular case, why don't we close it, deliberate it on it, or as you said, Brian, keep it open for another couple of weeks. But this applicant has already hired counsel and he's sat in on 2 hearings now. We're gonna have him sit on another one. So
I don't have a problem with, as I said in the beginning, as long as the neighbors didn't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem down in this area. A lot of these sheds are very close to the lot lines. If you pull back the picture. So I don't have a problem as long as the neighbors are okay with this. I believe it's unique with the flooding situation, so I don't have a.
Heidi, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. And I already spoke to Mr.
I wasn't, but I am now.
Mr. Feeney?
I'm in agreement with Attorney Galvin and others who have spoken prior that they have made the case that it's unique, the topography, the flooding in this particular thing. So I'm in agreement as well.
Okay. And Chris, are you okay with that?
Yeah, conditionally, yes is the answer.
Okay. All right. So I think that as a general rule of thumb for us, we just took a roll call. So I think that I'm comfortable in closing this hearing and going to a vote. So I'd like to make a motion to close case 21-3. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of closing, Lynn Fiddler, aye. Heidi?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Mr. Feeney?
Aye.
Larry Keane?
Aye.
Chris Belisos?
Aye.
Okay, so we have closed this case. Are there any conditions that the board would like seen for this particular shed? We've seen what it looks like, or I believe they gave us a quick synopsis of it. but there's no conditions other than meet the rules and regulations, state and local. Okay. All right, then I'd like to make a motion to grant the variance for the relief from 305-6.02 based on the soil conditions on the rear of the property. Do I have a second?
A second.
All those in favor? Lynn Fidler? Aye. Heidi Conway?
Aye.
Brian Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Feeney?
Aye.
Larry Keane?
Aye.
And Chris Belisos?
Aye.
All right. So Walter, you're all set. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Good night.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Nancy, so we're moving down. Anything on the new hearings for February 23rd, other than the one we just added, that we need to be aware of?
No, I honestly haven't looked that closely at them. I put them on there because they were already advertised.
Okay,
And again, the more I can make sure that they're out there for public notice, the better.
okay. I'd like to, some of these cases, like for example, today I went out and poked around over at the Corner Cafe. Brian did as well. Some of these cases, especially the commercial cases, may be things that the board, maybe as a whole, we go out, especially where we're still in remote. It might be a nice interlude for us to get together on outside in the fresh air and be able to communicate back and forth and have the applicant there as well. So going forward, I think that's an important part of maybe what we should be thinking about. So it's kind of nice that Nancy has these hearings at least identified for us ahead of time so that we get a little feel for what's going on and what we have in front of us.
Yeah, and I gotta get a look at that beard in person. That thing is
Righteous, right?
a monster.
Yeah, we could do a comparison. I think you've got some time to go there, Andrew. Yeah, now that he's taken off his mask, we put it back on because Mr. Feeney has some crazy beard going. But if there's any other comments from the board as far as things that we could do, and as I said before, I think I reached out to Mr. Larry Keane and spoke to him about getting some help in running these hearings remotely. I know Brian's well adept at it. I'd like to kind of spread the wealth. My jaw starts to hurt, and I think it's good for everybody to do this. And I'm certainly willing to, if you're interested, or like for example tonight we had Chris and I. Perhaps we were going to recuse ourselves. We weren't quite sure. I would have to step out, and Heidi's done a couple for me while we've been remote. But we're going to work towards that type of scenario going forward. So other than that, I think we're all set unless there's anything else any of the board members would like to add. And we'll adjourn.
I would like to mention one thing.
Sure.
The Flavins are beyond thrilled. I don't know if you realize, but they were crying during the hearing.
She's so cute.
And I called her when it was over, and she just wanted to thank everyone.
Well, I hope that they have a case where their family is well taken care of. They deserve it. So
Agreed.
it's hard work taking care of a family like that. Okay, so I'm going to take a roll call and we'll adjourn. Lynn Fidler, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Heidi, second?
Yes.
Lynn
Second.
Fidler, aye. Heidi?
Aye.
Brian Murphy?
Aye.
Mr. Feeney?
Aye.
Larry Keane?
Aye.
And Chris Belisos?
Aye.
Everybody stay safe. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Good night.
Right.
Take care.
Hey, thank you, everyone.
Thanks.